Hey guys, Jungle Explorer here, and today I'm going to be talking about installing gas lines. Okay? Before I get into what I'm going to talk about today, I want to, put out there some warnings and disclaimers, okay? What I'm doing in this video, if you choose to follow it, you're following it at your own risk, okay? I'm not saying it's dangerous. I'm saying it doesn't comply with a lot of codes. It's my way of doing things. And if you've watched my channel for any amount of time, you know that I think outside the box and I don't necessarily conform to the norm. Okay, I am my own person. I call it being a rugged individualist. That's what the Jungle Explorer channel is all about, is rugged individualism. The same exact type of mentality that drove our forefathers to get into rickety wooden ships and sail across the ocean to find new land. And guess what? They brought their families along, their children, in wooden ships across the Atlantic Ocean, okay? And when they got to America, they weren't satisfied. They built wooden wagons and they crossed mountains and rivers and forged, prairies and stuff to find a new land. And they brought their families along, okay? Their kids. And they didn't have no OSHA or safety guidelines. They did it on their own accord, and they were responsible for themselves. They didn't ask nobody's permission, and they didn't ask nobody's help. They did it, and if they got hurt, they didn't blame nobody else, okay? They weren't like, somebody didn't tell me that getting in a wooden ship that might sink in the ocean. They just did it, okay? And that's the type of mentality that I'm talking about today. All right, so, but having said that, we live in America, and, and so everybody expects everything to follow a certain code book or whatever. Okay, if you choose to do this, you do it at your own risk, okay, guys? There you go. So, what am I talking about here? Well, this is gas piping. So if you're going to be installing a natural gas line or a propane line, and of course, I know a bunch of inspectors or plumbers out there screaming at the video, you can't do that, you got to get a certified plumber. Okay, well, that's fine. If you want to do that, you can do that. I'm not doing that because I don't need nobody to help me. Okay, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to do this. But, so I expect the comments to flow from all the inspectors and all the propane and all the, plumbers out there screaming at this video. But I'm going to show you how to do something. Okay, back to the video. This is what they call PE gas line. You can buy it on Amazon.com in 100-foot lengths. This is where I got mine. I'm installing a new propane line to a new mobile home that I had moved out here onto my land. Okay, and this is what you're supposed to use with natural gas. And just to answer the question that you might be asking, why not use some other type of piping? Well, because petroleum products can deteriorate other materials like PVC, and you don't want to use those. They don't have the proper polymers and chemicals in them to resist the petroleum-based products. So you want to use the proper gas line. Okay, but the issue is this stuff is not that bad. It's actually pretty useful and expensive, and it comes in, it's not that expensive, and it comes in different sizes, and it's a lot better than running black iron pipe or galvanized pipe, which is what you would normally use, okay, before they came up with this. But the problem is not the pipe, it's the darn connectors. Man, if you want to see an experience in gouging, look up the connectors for PE poly gas pipe. We're talking $50 to $100 per connector. One stinking coupling, like $50, a three-way coupling, like $80. And it's insane because I've actually bought those couplings and opened them up and looked at them. There's nothing special about them. The only reason they're that price is because they have a cornered market on it and there's no competition, and they're gouging you ridiculously for those couplings, okay? Well, I am not freaking going to pay that much money for a stupid coupling. So what I'm going to do here is going to show you how to thread this. It's not that hard. You want to thread it exactly like you would cast iron or galvanized steel piping. Okay, you're going to use a standard pipe threader, even though it's plastic. Now, there's a few things that you have to watch out for. This pipe is a lot better. It's a lot easier to thread if it's cold, because it's hard and more rigid. The hotter the temperature is, the more difficult it is to thread because it begins to bend. And if that occurs, you can actually use liquid duster, turn it upside down and spray it. Or you could use propane if you wanted to use that. And you freeze that in so that it's cold when you're threading it. Okay? But It's kind of cold, chilly right now. Let's see. It's in the sunlight, but let me go ahead and make sure. You want to make sure that you have a really straight cut. I use a standard PVC cutter to cut this, so you want to make sure you're straight. Okay, that's very, very, very important. You just take your threader. It goes in from this end, not this end. Okay, and that keeps it straight. Make sure that it's straight, and then begin to slowly cut into the pipe. And now there is a ratchet that you can use if you like. You would use pipe on this, but this comes from my threading kit. But it really is not that difficult. It takes a little bit of wrist strength to do this, but you can do it. And you want to kind of thread it all the way out to the end of those teeth. All right. And if you reach a difficult spot, don't force it, because that will actually bend the pipe. Just try to do it smoothly as possible until you get to the end of those teeth there. It's getting harder there to go, but so I'm right out to the end of the teeth, and now we'll just back it up. Have to kind of hold it here. This is a short piece of pipe, so it's a little harder. All right, so just back it up, being careful not to cut it's easy to cross thread and hurt these plastic threads, but there you go. It's totally threaded, ready to use. Make sure you clean all these burrs out here. Okay, now that piece of pipe is good for putting any kind of coupling on. Right here I have a 3/4 inch union, which if you have a long piece of pipe is what you're going to need to join, because you can't turn them both, so because you might have 100 feet on the other end. So you want to use a union if you have a long piece. If you have a short piece where you can turn both pieces individually, you could use a standard coupling, because you can put this one on and then turn the other one like that, you know. And here's an elbow. So all these fittings. Now I do want to talk about this. I know there's some plumbers out there or some inspectors like, that's galvanized. You're not supposed to use galvanized for propane and natural gas. Well, actually, if you do some research, guys, you'll find there's no scientific reason why you can't use galvanized for propane or natural gas. There's no chemical interaction or something that's going to happen. The reason that it says in the code to not use galvanized and you have to use black iron for propane or natural gas is because galvanized steel originally was what they used for water pipes, and so they didn't want people using the same exact piping in the houses for natural gas as they did for water, so that you could look at it and say, oh, that's a water pipe because it's galvanized, and that's a natural gas line because it's black iron. But since this is going to be buried in the ground, it's far superior to use galvanized in ground, because it's not going to rust and corrode as quickly as black iron will in direct soil. So this is that's why I'm using galvanized steel underground here. It will not be exposed to the air or up. It will be underground. So that's why that's the only reason. I did a lot of research to find this out, but that's the only reason that the code says to not use galvanized. It has nothing to do with any kind of science or chemical interaction. It only has to do with distinguishing between a gas line and a galvanized water line. So, okay, now here's this thread. Now, I assume you could literally go right on here with this, but for safety's sake, you want to put some type of sealer on here. Now, I like the Teflon tape, but you want to use the yellow one, the PE, because again, it's for natural gas or propane, and it's petroleum resistant. Or you want to use the Rector Seal 5, which is really good stuff too. All right. So what we're going to do here is just, okay, so we're going to put some thread sealant on here, just like you would with any other type of plumbing threading, you know, and just put one layer on there. Okay, and now this is real important here. You want to be make sure that this is so easy to cross thread. You just want to put it on there. Start the first few threads gently. Just get it started. And then once you get it on there and you know that it's not cross-threaded, it's pretty easy to keep going. And because you're not doing on steel, you almost don't even need a wrench to do this. And you just want to run it all the way to the back of the thread, till it's all the way to the whole thread is covered. And so you can see here, that's where the thread ended. We'll just go a couple more turns. So it's right up there. And we can see inside here that it's all the way up there. So it's got a complete seal. And that's solid, sealed, and ready to be used. Okay, guys, well, that's as easy as it is, and that's how you do it. And I just want to say, you know, again, that this is a use at your own risk video, okay? You know, this is something that, you know, if you're in a city or something where you got to have an inspector come out and look at things and pull a permit and all that stuff, you're not going to be able to do this, okay? But I live way out in the country. I run my own lines and do my own work out here, and I don't have any government oversight telling me how I should do things, okay? So again, you know, I'm not saying don't follow your local codes. I'm just saying this is a way it can be done. It's perfectly safe. I've run all my own propane and natural gas lines for 10 years doing this. I've never had a problem. I've never had an explosion. I'm obviously making this video, so I'm not dead. Okay, it's perfectly safe, just not necessarily within code. All right, so use at your own risk. Well, if you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and comment. And if you're interested in the products seen used in this video, I'll place links for your convenience underneath the video in the description area. Just click on the Show More button. And you can connect with me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And I release different stuff on those channels, you know, pictures and different short videos and things that you might be interested in watching. Until next time, this is the Jungle Explorer signing out.